Please, Mr. Chief Deputy City Clerk.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank
Mayor
you.
Sticks.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Whitman. Mayor Pro Tem Whitman is participating remotely tonight. We'll move on with our roll call. Councilmember Rule.
Here.
Councilmember Lang.
Here.
Councilmember Francina.
Here.
And Mayor Pro Tem Whitman, could you please give us a little audio for your roll call? Mayor Pro Tem is here. We had some audio, so we can move on for now.
And welcome everyone to the May 14th meeting of the Ojai City Council. We'll say the pledge. Before we say the pledge, though, I'd like to give a big welcome back to Weston Montgomery, our Chief Deputy City Clerk, and new father to Vinny. Congratulations, and we are so happy to have you here and so happy for you, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you, staff. It's really great to be back. And with that, would everyone please rise? Our American flag is in the rear of the room here. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one mayor, under God,
United States of America,
liberty
the
and
republic
justice for all.
stands, a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty
Thank
and
you.
justice.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second it.
Second. And because we do have one member virtual, we need a roll call. So we have the roll call, please, Mr. Chief Deputy City Clerk?
Yes,
Thank
Mayor. Mayor Sticks.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Whitman, remotely.
And I would just ask we move on. We're going to probably have him telephone in. It sounds like the audio on the computer is not working.
Thank you, City Manager. Councilmember Rule.
Yes.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Councilmember Francina.
Here. And I have a request of the tech people. I was told at the last meeting, nobody could hear me the whole meeting. And I don't know, I swear I had my light on. But anyway, I got complaints.
Maybe pull it a little bit closer, pull the
Can you-
part down.
Okay. And just tell me if you can't hear me. Not that you are missing my words of
Yes.
wisdom, but I was kind of relieved, kind of, that nobody could hear me.
Yeah,
No,
we want to
not
hear
really.
you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Mm.
All right, any commission reports? All right, we have a presentation this evening. Mr. Ray Powers is here from the Ojai International City of Peace, and Ray will provide a presentation on the organization. Thank you so much, Ray, for being here.
I'm not sure this is on. Can't hear myself. There we go. Thanks, Council, for inviting me to do this presentation. I've been wanting to do it for quite a while. I'm giving a high-level overview of the history of the International City of Peace, how it came, of the global organization, the founder, how it got created here in town, and then some of the milestone events and activities we've been doing. I'm not going to weigh in on any specific issues, but I'm glad I'm at the top of the meeting because I really would love to bring clarity, insight, and vision and have everybody here and at home think about what peace means to yourself and especially what is an international city of peace and what that looks like day in and day out in our own relationships, how we function, our communications, when issues are brought up, how we treat each other. And that's kind of my personal intention tonight here. Next slide, please. So Fred Arment is the founding director of the International Cities of Peace. He's the author of The Elements of Peace, How Nonviolence Works, and The Economics of Peace, Freedom, the Golden Rule, and Broadening Prosperity. Fred founded the Arment Group marketing firm, which serves Fortune 500 as well as local profit and not-for-profit organizations. And he's the founder and first director of the Dayton International Peace Museum. He's been involved with the United Nations as co-chair of the Peace Cities team. Next slide, please. The purpose of the City of Peace movement is to create a community culture of peace by promoting collaboration and cooperation between all sectors of societies. such as the arts, education, environment, business, safety and security, recreation, faith-based organizations, service organizations, wellness organizations, and government. The movement aims to establish communities as official cities of peace, recognizing past achievements, encouraging current initiatives, and inspiring future generations for practical peace building. The movement also seeks to expand the global network of cities of peace, provide engagement and educational opportunities through programs like the Global Network, the Global Family Program, the Global Action Program, and leadership skills development courses. Ultimately, the City of Peace movement aims to change the world by leveraging technology and consciousness to foster peace and create a more peaceful society. Next slide, please. There are currently over 400 international cities of peace and growing.
Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Apologize. We're trying to log in the mayor pro tem. There might be
Yes.
some audio interference.
Not
I'm sorry
entered
about
any
that.
number.
Andy
Please
is
re-enter your
present.
meeting ID followed by pound.
Mayor Pro Tem Whitman, please mute for the time being. Thank you.
So currently there
Not
are over
entered any number.
400
Please
international
re-enter your
cities of
meeting
peace.
ID followed by pound.
Apologies, Mr. Powers. Let's get
It's all
Mayor Pro
good.
Tem Whitman. If you could hear us, please mute so we can proceed efficiently.
Okay, good. So every month there are more cities joining. The goal is to have 1,000 cities by 2025. At least that's the go for. To encourage collaboration and promote respect for people of all faiths and creeds, the Golden Rule provides an ethical basis for enabling all communities within cities of peace to work together toward a culture of peace. Now, although the International City of Peace is non-denominational, nonpartisan, apolitical, the golden rule of do unto others as you have do unto yourself is kind of the overarching intention of it. Next slide, please. Communicating positive messages. In all aspects of communications, volunteers for International Cities of Peace should exhibit the values of a peacemaker. The International Cities of Peace values path is as follows: be purposeful, be accountable, be trustworthy, be humble, be innovative. And that's part of what I wanted to bring forward in presence here today in our daily activities with each other and how we relate to each other, really with love. Next slide, please. On April 14th, 2015, the mayor and city council of Ojai presented a city proclamation declaring Ojai the 99th International City of Peace and handed the document to the ICP team. The city council officials at the time encouraged our peace initiatives in the valley, and the city granted financial support for our events. The photo shows Anahata Pomeroy, Julie Heyman, Lisa Berman, Kathy Nolan, Brian Berman, Diane McCourtney, and I'm not pictured there in that photo. Brian Berman and Julie Heyman are the two that brought forward the International City of Peace global organization. Next slide, please. That's interesting. So Brian Berman, who's a sculptor in town, he's been in Poland with his wife Lisa for the last year and a half, working with Ukrainian refugees in Poland and their children. And Brian created this image of the holos, which some of you may wear and own, and each of the 9 sectors are segments of peace building: arts, business, communication, community, education, environment, governments, health, and spirituality. So these are each of the sectors we can bring this idea of peace into in all our activities and programs. Next slide, please. As well, the United Nations Global Sustainability Goals are milestones for the International City of Peace global and local organizations. Now, if you're not familiar with the UN sustainability goals, you could go to their website and learn about them. It's quite phenomenal, the roadmap they laid out. Next slide, please. I'm going to go real quick to my slides so I can see what that's supposed to say. So since since 2015, each year, International City of Peace, Ojai, hosts the United Nations International Day of Peace on September 21st. The focus is to bring community members together for sharing connection, meditation, prayer, dance, music, art, as well as talks by community members who went through great challenges in life. So next year will be our 10th year hosting and producing the International Cities of Peace. I know many of you here have come to this, and it's been quite phenomenal. Next slide, please. Most of the International Cities of Peace Ojai events help educate and inspire the importance of living in a city of peace. The emphasis is on peace begins within, with each of us, and from there taking actions which are compassionate and peace building. ICP Ojai has hosted peacemaker panel talks, peace essay readings, student artwork, youth and adults creating peace poles and doves, photo contests, feasts for peace, and community peace festivals. Next slide, please. This is some of the student artwork from the digital arts class in Ojai. Several years in a row, they not only created beautiful digital artwork for Day of Peace, but also for Earth Day as well. And we usually display those, and this is just a few of those. Next slide, please. These are some of the peace poles. There is a map somewhere online, I'm not sure where, that shows all the peace poles in the valley. They're continually growing. But these ones particularly here are at Nordhoff High School, put in two, and San Antonio School put in a couple as well. Next slide, please. And these are the peace poles created at the Gables and at Nordhoff High School. Many of these were displayed at the park at the last Peace Day. Next slide, please. The team also created an International City of Peace road sign. And if you're unaware, at every entrance to the valley, up 150, down 150, out on the east end, and coming in from 33 North, there's an International City of Peace road sign which welcomes visitors to Ojai. So we have branded ourselves as an International City of Peace. So what does that look like to really step into that? Because that's a billboard, and that's the message we're giving. Next slide, please. Another great addition to Ojai ICP happened in April 2018. The mayor and city council approved an initiative by Dr. Bob Dodge that Ojai is a nuclear-free zone. What does that mean? It's a designation that will be added to, it's a designation that the initiative stipulates that our city will not invest in any company that contributes funding for the manufacturing of nuclear weapons. Now, I know that's hard to track, because I remember calling James Vega and saying, well, how do we track that? How do we know? You know, what's in our ETFs? And he goes, that's almost impossible to break that down with the people that are managing our funds. So I'm not sure how we really live into that, but that is what the nuclear-free zone means. Next slide, please. The Ojai International City of Peace has participated in the 4th of July parade for 8 years, and we're always really thrilled how many people come out to join us. Next slide, please. In 2023, with council approval, so last year, a City of Peace flag was raised at City Hall. So thank you, Mayor Betsy, and all of you who came out for that flag raising. That was really wonderful to see and have up there. Next slide, please. In partnership with the Global Association of International Cities of Peace, a signature program for the Rotary E-Club of World Peace, local Rotary clubs can map each good work toward a common goal, a more peaceful and vitalized community. The Rotary Peace E-Club is an amazing international organization. I've been joining on some of their Zoom calls, as well as the quarterly Global City of Peace International organization. Next slide, please. So future projects that we're envisioning are more art installations that have to do with peace around town, such as the Bells for Peace, mosaic peace benches, a library of things, a youth council participation, Peace Day at Libby Bowl, and more community listening circles. Next slide, please. So that's all I have to share. You can go to internationalcitiesofpeace.org. There's too much information there, but there's a lot to go through to learn more. I want to thank my current partners, Peggy Gruner, who's here, and Klaus Peter Fleischman. The three of us took over the mantle when Brian and Lisa Berman moved to Poland. They have moved back. They're currently looking for a home, and I think they might have found one. So I'm here for questions, or I'll go sit down.
Just want to say thank you, Ray. Beautiful presentation, and thank you so much for working for peace, inward and outwards. So
Thanks for the
important.
opportunity. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Okay. All right, we will move on to public communication. And just a reminder, these are items not on the agenda, and because they're not on the agenda, we cannot discuss them. We appreciate your viewpoint, and we can agendize them for the future. So we'll begin with Ron Solarsino, and then Jerry Tree Bear Odell.
All right. Alrighty, thank you so much, members of council. My name is Ron Solorsino, and I am the regional librarian for the Ojai Valley. I just wanted to mention a couple of things coming up at the library. First of all, real quick, we have a local author who's going to be joining us in a couple of weeks on Saturday, May 25th. This is local Ojai author Catherine Ann Jones, who's going to be visiting us to talk about her latest book, East and West. Catherine is an award-winning author of 8 other books, including Heal Yourself with Writing. And East and West is described as a captivating book that is contrasting aspects of Indian culture explored through stories of seekers, heroes, frauds, and victims. So come hear Catherine speak with us on the 25th in the afternoon. Then I want to mention that as of tomorrow, actually, May 15th, our summer reading programs challenges are starting for both youth and adults. This year we do have a program for adults, as we usually do. Folks can, who are over 18 can join the challenge and log every book that they read over the summer. They do this online through our website, or they can use a paper log if they would like to do that. And every time they enter a book, they get a chance to win a fun prize later on in the summer. So folks can do that, and then the youth program involves its own prize drawing. Kids under 18 are logging minutes rather than books, and there's a lot of options there online for participation, as well as their own prize tracks for prizes by location. So start sending people our way. Our website's a great place to start. You can register online there and just visit the library for any questions you might have. And also, for a lot of our special events we're going to be having during the summer. We're actually going to be starting off with a kickoff event featuring an organization called Saving Wildlife International that's going to be at the library on Thursday, May 30th at 5:30 p.m. That's going to be our kickoff event. We're also going to have a number of craft and activity events during the summer, including a rocket launch, some regular weekly doodle times and perler parties, a collage workshop, rock painting, and a lot more. So again, our website has all of our information on it there. We look forward to having everyone come by the library and participate in all of our challenges. That is all that I have for now. If there are ever any questions, you can always drop by. Our youth librarian at the Ojai Library, who I don't think I shout out enough, is Blanca Ramirez. She is available to speak with. I am, of course, also there, and we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ron. So exciting. Much appreciated. Next, we have Jerry Tree Bear Odell, then Matt Davis, and then Larry Steingold. Could we please do a quick sound check for Mayor Pro Tem Whitman? Just 1 second, Jerry.
Yes,
Sound
Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem Whitman, we're going to do a quick sound check if you hear us.
I can.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
There he is.
Hello, everyone. Jerry Odell, also known as Tree Bear, and a grassroots liaison of our community. And as a solutionary perspective, I have some ideas and solutions to offer as I offer myself for mentoring and as a humble demonstrating instructor of the eco custom tiny home versions, other than the other modulars they have in mind and planned. There are just some things that I believe all must be considered regarding grant funding, where resources are actually needed regarding eco tiny homes. Operational expenses, tools, supplies, resources, materials, listings, locations, all must be considered with genuine consideration and compassion to what has been ignored for TOO long. Request of proposal from community of Ojai. Reasoning of needs and concerns of disabilities and abilities that need to be addressed and recognized and considered. Considering individuals' needs, family, community, requesting assigned overseer for a combination of reasons. But what I have here is like a love note, attitude of gratitude, the gift of truth. Presently here now, being here with the present moment, presently responding with full consideration and respect. Please let us resolve our suffering now. We can resolve our suffering. Thank you for all your respect, consideration. Yours truly, Tree Bear Jerry Odell, and my voicemail contact number. And so just going through 7 pages, I just have a list of solutions that I would like to copy and share with you. And in your time, you could look over and perhaps schedule a meeting where I can meet with the city manager and go over some details and how our community would love to participate in this mission of tiny homes. So offering myself up, and thank you for all your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Next, we have Matt Davis, and then Larry Steingold, and then Anita Cram.
Hello, Mayor and City Council. My voice is a little bad right now. I'm coming over a cold, so excuse my crackliness. But I just wanted to bring your attention that we have a typo that we did on our activity guide for our summer Ojai Recreation Department brochure for Ojai Day. We put in here that it is on October the 21st, and it's actually a typo on our part. It's October the 19th, so I just wanted to make you guys aware of that and apologize for our error on our part. We do have a fall brochure guide that will be coming out with the correct date, so just wanted everyone to know that that is a typo and a mistake on our part, and we'll get that corrected.
Thank you, Matt. And just for members of the public, Matt is our director of Parks and Rec, so that's why you're saying that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Larry Steingold, and then Anita Cram.
Good evening. Larry Steingold, resident, taxpayer, citizen. Thank you, Ray Powers, for taking back the city of peace, so it's internal peace, and not picking and choosing winners and losers. Security and safety that make Ojai way it is. You have issues at the encampment, and you have issues at the arcade, and you have issues at Libby Park. I don't know what the police have done regarding the bike riders and kids harassing adults or what have you. But we need cameras, and I realize security, and you can't be everywhere. And we only have so much money, and we can only provide so many people. And cameras may not be a deterrent, but it will pick up evidence of those bad actors who can be talked to in no uncertain terms. The encampment, I've been told you need witnesses, you need evidence, you need video, you need people to come forward. Those people need to be protected from, I don't know, what's the word, predators? within the encampment. And so when's that? Because they're part of our community too. We wouldn't allow that to happen up at Pleasant and Drown, and we wouldn't allow it to happen in the Arbolata, and we wouldn't happen in your district, your district, your district in the city. Okay? So they need to be safe. So the bad people, those people who are potential bad people, however you want to put it, they need to be either taken out, sent away, gone, because they're causing a problem in the community that's causing all sorts of other grief. So I think that has to be done. But in general, I enjoy living here. I intend to live here a long time. And I'm suspecting you all do too. And you all want to leave legacy. So let's try to keep Ojai desirable and safe and be the city of peace internally so we all have peace with each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Next, we have Anita Cram.
Good evening, everyone. Anita Cram, Ojai. So imagine that you can fly, soar above the earth, or maybe just flit from tree to tree. That feathers grow from your fingertips instead of nails, capable of generating flight. Imagine that when you inhale, your breath circulates through a system of air sacs and hollow bones within your body, giving you buoyancy. That to fill your body with air requires that you breathe in, exhale, then take a second breath before the first inhale is expelled on the second exhale. All designed to keep you airborne. Birds are extraordinary living beings with many astonishing traits designed to support life in the air. They date back to the times of the dinosaurs. They are considered living dinosaurs. May 11th celebrates World Migratory Bird Day. And lately you may have noticed a few more birds around our valley. Spring migration is in full swing. And we live near what's called the Pacific Flyway, a traditional migratory pathway that follows the coast in kind of a messy pattern. So we get a lot of them here in our valley. Some stay, returning to ancestral nesting grounds. Others stop for rest and food on their long journey. The Allen's hummingbird, some of you may have noticed it here in the valley. It stops here to nest. They have been documented traveling the longest hummingbird migration, documented over 4,000 miles to their nesting grounds, often returning to the same yard where they will nest year after year after year. The greatest threat to birds is the loss and or degradation of habitat due to development or disturbance. This is something we really need to pay attention to in this valley. This is well documented in the scientific literature. These circumstances have taken their toll on the rufous hummingbird, suffering tremendous declines in their numbers, and they pass through our valley to rest and feed. You may see them here. And it's all too common of a story that puts birds at peril. Birds pollinate our plants, disperse our seeds, fertilize our yards. We learned flight from them, airplanes, through the concepts of lift, thrust, and right at this moment, the other one escapes me. But anyway, pay attention. They're in your yard. Give them consideration. Plant a pollinator garden. Don't feed them unless you...
Thank you.
That's lift, thrust, and drag.
Wow, good. Thank you, Anita. Impressive. Mr. Chief Deputy City Clerk, do we have any comments online?
Mayor, we have 0 raised hands right now, but let's give our Zoom participants the opportunity to make public comment. Zoom participants will give you an extra moment to raise your hands if you wish to make a general public comment. Still no raised hands, Mayor. We'll move on.
All right, thank you. We will move on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve. I want to just make a brief comment on H.
So you want to pull H?
Yeah, pull H.
Okay.
Only take a second.
Any comments online for H?
Still no raised hands, Mayor.
Okay, all right. No. Councilmember
Oh,
Francina?
okay. So, so go to item H, attachment A, page 1, and item 4, where it says delegates the authority to the recreation manager or designee to conduct all negotiations. And maybe we should put, is it understood that designee includes the city manager, assistant city manager, or do we need to add that to the resolution?
Through the mayor, if I might, it probably should just say to the authority to the city manager or designee is probably more appropriate.
Rather than the recreation manager?
Right.
Okay. And I credit Bill Miley for calling this to my attention.
Nice work.
Don't think I read every word. Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Yes, I will second.
Okay. No, could we have the roll call, please? For everything, yes.
Right, do I need to restate that, or is that fine?
I think it's inherent in the motion.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, roll call. Mayor Sticks.
Yes.
Councilmember Francina.
Yes.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Councilmember Rule.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Whitman.
Yes.
Understood. Motion passes.
All right, wonderful. All right, we will move on to public hearing. No, I'm sorry, this is number 2. Discussion, approval of memorandum of understanding with Habitat for Humanity regarding the development and management of 5 tiny homes at 410 North Montgomery Street. We have a staff report. Thank you.
Mayor, actually, we have first a presentation, and I'm going to turn this over to our city attorney and assistant city manager, also our community development director, though the trifecta here will be on hand.
And as a 30-second introduction, this is the approval of the MOU for the Habitat project at 408 410 North Montgomery Street, Ojai. What we have before you is 3 things. One is the presentation from our Habitat partners on the project, how we got here, the site plan, what we're looking at, and next steps. Second is approval of the MOU, and then third, of course, inherent in that approval is direction to staff to move the project forward through final design, financing, and the next steps, and take any public comments before we vote. So with that, I'll turn it to Habitat for the presentation, and then I'll have some comments on the MOU, if I may.
Sure. Good evening, Council. My name is Lauren Hinkle. I'm the project architect with RRM Design Group, representing Habitat for Humanity of Ventura County. Next slide. So just a brief recap. About a year ago, we brought before you 2 concepts to review. We provided one concept, which was 4 2-bedroom townhomes that were attached with single-car garages that faced on Montgomery Street. And the second concept was 8 tiny home duplex units. So four duplexes consisting of the 8 units with no parking on site. And so during that hearing, next slide, please. There were many comments and support. The community was looking for affordable housing in perpetuity. They're in favor of the sweat equity model that Habitat provides. And then just to remind yourselves of a few comments, that we're looking for tiny homes geared towards elderly or the veterans. There was the direction to move towards that path of the 8 tiny homes. We're looking at car share or other parking solutions, and even possibly the city parking committee to provide options for off-site parking as well. There's also a number of concerns. Next slide. Namely that the priority be given to Ojai residents, and that might also include those that are employed in the valley. Also concerned that the resale of the property would be prioritized to Ojai residents as well. And the public was concerned about the lack of on-site parking. Next slide. So we took those comments and came up with another concept, working with both Habitat and city staff. And I realized this is not about the approval of the project tonight, but it is about the memorandum moving forward. So our current proposal is 1 2-bedroom home and 4 tiny home duplexes. So 2 duplexes consisting of 4 tiny units. And in so reducing the numbers, we were able to provide 6 on-site parking spaces, including 1 accessible parking space. We maintained our bicycle storage on site, and also are proposing that the project be all electric, so there will be no natural gas. So electric power for space conditioning, water heating, cooking. And just to reiterate, we're here for the memorandum of understanding and look forward to sharing with you the project as it develops. And I think the next slide just reiterates those points. So, we're happy to answer any questions, and we'll turn the time over to staff for their presentation.
Yeah, and if you can go back to the site plan, one other point to note is also came out of the council discussion is that there be some opportunity for potentially a family, hence the single family has the 2-bedroom component, which could accommodate more than the tiny homes that are the 1-bedroom approach. In terms of the MOU, it's a framework for the project to move forward. It is not the final approval. Final approval will come later after compliance with sorting out the financing, compliance with CEQA, et cetera, and the full scale design and entitlement submission and review process through the Planning Commission. This MOU is a project agreement that moves it forward. In the MOU, the city would commit to consider the project for final approval, and if approved, ground lease the land. So the city retains ownership of the land. It's a ground lease for 99 years at $1 a year. Habitat would build the project. We would have it structured as a ground lease, so the 5 units could be sold to moderate income, deed restricted purchasers, which creates an opportunity for lower affordable income persons to build equity and to build homeownership and the benefits that come from that, but restricted to be affordable to moderate income persons, which means affordable at a monthly cost that doesn't exceed 30% of 120% of the Ventura County median income as it adjusts each year. There will be deed restrictions in place to protect the affordability requirement, with the city able to enforce that along with Habitat enforcing it. It would also have to include the sweat equity components that are inherent in the Habitat for Humanity program, which means that participants who wish to be able to purchase one of these houses have to put in a significant amount, something like 500 plus hours of sweat equity building other projects before they're eligible for this project. So they're committed to the Habitat program, and they're committed and invested in the community. And that often results in a high quality of tenant or a high quality of ownership in the project as it goes forward. They also have committed, as noted tonight, to be all electric, and have also committed to comply to the maximum extent possible with the city's local tenant preference policy. And the qualifier on maximum extent possible is to reflect some of their federal and state financing sources treat the county as the local area, not necessarily just the city. So to the extent that they have to adjust that to reflect the financing, we didn't want to get in the way of the financing to make the project work. And the city would be also contributing certain fee waivers, pulling from, to the extent possible under other applicable law, our existing affordable housing funds, because it's for the affordable housing project. So with that, the staff would recommend approval of the MOU. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Alameda?
Yes, I would. I know the council's fully aware of this. For those at home and of the public, this site was previously privately owned. There were a couple dilapidated buildings that the owner couldn't bring up to code. So during the Great Recession, the 08 through 2010, the city's redevelopment agency purchased this, and then shortly thereafter, the state of California dissolved all local redevelopment agencies. So it kind of put the city in a bind that they couldn't go through with the development of this project. So now we have to lean on nonprofits or private developers to do that. But it's a great fit because it's still the use that was intended when it was purchased. And it also potentially allows us to use the funds that sit in the redevelopment successor agency that we otherwise can't use to help support the project as well.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant City Manager, and thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Thank you, Habitat and Lauren. Appreciate the presentation. Any questions from council?
Could you go to page, attachment A, page 4, where it says responsibilities of Habitat, resident parking, item 6. And it was suggested by Bill Miley, and I've also suggested it in the past, and I think Rachel, because we're on the parking committee, which is just on pause, but it still exists. Do we need a clause which limits the number of vehicles per housing unit? Otherwise, there will be overflow parking on Montgomery Street, and Franklin. They can't park there. There's no room. 20 feet wide prohibits any parking. So visitor parking will have to be on the street. But do we need to specify that the people that live there, parking is such an issue in our city, and there is the Church of Christ across the street with all that parking, but we've never formally approached them. Can all of that still be done, or do we need to make sure that nobody there should be parking, 3 cars on the street?
So I would recommend that we not handicap the ability of Habitat to find future residents. So I wouldn't recommend putting limitations on limiting the life of the future residents. Instead, as we go forward in the design entitlements, we can consider further parking management strategies, including conversations with the church across the way, who we haven't yet talked to. So we can't bake that into this because it might interrupt the future deal.
Yeah.
Parking management conversations can continue, taking a look at a number of strategies. Nothing in this MOU prevents a future parking management plan.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Councilmember Lane?
Yes, I had a question. You asked my question, one of my questions. I have another question. First of all, I just want to say thank you for the all electric.
Habitat.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Habitat. And that was actually something I didn't see in the MOU. So is there a way to guarantee that, or is there a way that we can?
Yeah, I would suggest that we add that as a 6C all electric.
Okay. Yes.
Reflecting Habitat's agreement on the record, but no reason not to add it to the MOU.
Great.
6C.
Excellent.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to public comments. First, we have John Trent.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mayor Pro Tem?
What are we doing about responsibility for common areas? If anything, is this the right stage to talk about that, or what's planned in terms of making sure that the common areas are maintained?
We have talked about that at the staff level. The plan to provide for maintenance is to make sure that that's baked into the ground lease itself, that Habitat will be responsible for that, and in turn, the purchase agreements with the 5 future purchasers, that they're responsible for maintaining that. We're not looking at doing an HOA because that complicates the financing side of it, but we can still ensure maintenance is covered through an appropriate maintenance agreement with Habitat and the future purchasers, and a city backstop to ensure that if it becomes a problem, we have the power to go in and maintain it and get appropriate compensation for that maintenance from Habitat or the future homeowners.
Okay, and then my last question is, I wasn't 100% clear about where these units are on the affordable spectrum. Are they all moderate? Are any of them low income? And I'm particularly interested in whether the tiny house units, at least one or more of those would be in a low or very low income. Have we addressed all of that yet?
So as presently structured, it's 5 moderate income units with that home ownership model with the sweat equity and cash payment as well. we could have conversations with Habitat about structuring some of them at a very low or low subset. The challenge has typically been for a Habitat project where it's a home ownership model that can be very difficult to achieve with a very low or low income income level relative to what could be put up in terms of resources to be able to make the purchase price payments and then carry a mortgage, versus Habitat has been able to get financing to work with folks who are at a moderate income level and are able to make that work. So I think nothing in this MOU forecloses that. If we decide if it could be made to work, we could certainly make that into the final deal. But staff's recommendation at this point is that it's 5 moderate income units to reflect the proven Habitat model. Do you want to add anything on that one?
Thank you. I think the only thing that I might want to add, and I think it was sort of obvious with what you said, is the city's contribution to this is the donation, if you will, of the land. I think if the council desires to have it go to a lower income threshold, the deal just simply needs more cash. That's just the straight answer to it. You'd have to commit probably a considerable amount to make that. I will add that even, just at this income level, that will be a benefit to this community. It's very difficult to buy a home here unless you're really on the high end of the income stream, as you know.
Okay, I have another question. Since it's city land, can we specify under responsibilities of Habitat that no poisons will be used on this land? And also that the fig tree, there's a large mature fig tree toward the back of the property. And I don't know what there's another tree also. It's all toward the back, an apple tree by the back fence. It doesn't produce apples, but it's a very popular tree for birds and habitat. Do we have anything to say about, or is that later on, about landscaping? And especially since we're going all electric, let's go all out and do it right.
So, yeah, on that one, first on the landscaping component, I don't know off the top of my head where the 2 trees you cited, where they are on the site, and if they're would be impacted by the proposed units. As you see in the site plan on attachment B, they're certainly proposing significant landscaping. I just don't know off the top of my head if those trees are at issue.
Okay. I have photographs.
Yeah.
I can send them.
I don't know if we know that off the top of our heads. So certainly we can look at this point, it's a little bit late to redesign it entirely to save one tree.
No, I think it's way in the back. I don't think they'll be impacted. Can we have a statement that effort is made to preserve existing trees?
Yeah, I think
use
that can absolutely be done, and that's inherent.
Yeah.
We needn't add that in the MOU as a line. That's inherent in the future design approvals. I'm just not sure if we're able to redesign it at this stage if that tree is impacted or those 2 trees are impacted by the site plan.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then on
pretty confident it's not impacted.
Yeah, we can confirm that. I don't know if Lucas is around.
I saw Lucas for a
He
moment.
was here, yeah.
Mr.
Or maybe Mr. Taylor can confirm that.
Question?
Come on up.
Yeah, come to the microphone. There's 2 trees. There's an apple tree and a fig tree on
First
the
of all,
site.
I'm
introduce
the
yourself,
CEO of Habitat, so I'm just not some stranger standing up here at the mic.
Yeah, Mr. Taylor as noted, CEO of Habitat. He's our one of our prime partners on this one. So there is a fig tree and an apple tree on the site. I just don't know if they're impacted by the present.
Yeah, it's
site
in the
plan.
back corner of the lot. I don't think it affects, but it does bring up the issue of who's going to take care of that, which we can discuss at a later date. But it is in the very corner of the property. There is a tree there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an apple. I don't see any apples. on it.
One's a fig, and then there's an apple tree that evidently doesn't bear apples, but it's habitat.
Yeah. So we can work something out on that, or maybe we can even dig it and transfer it if that's something that is the city council's interested in. We don't have a problem doing that either.
And the details can be worked out through the design process as we go forward with the planning commission. And I
Yeah.
know Lucas is available as well to add any other wisdom on that one.
Yeah, I did want to make one clarification. The question of moderate versus low income, AMI in the state of California requires 97 or lower. So the category is very, very large, right? you can have there. It actually goes to from low income to affordable, then moderate is above that, right? So we're really, our sweet spot at Habitat is low income to affordable. So that's kind of where we're at. And typically for us, most of our clients are in that 40 AMI. They're either low, or low income is typically who we build with. So moderate is, it's a little bit above what we would do. We would prefer the language of the final contract be one that stipulates that the clients would be low income and be veterans or elderly as the first line of defense, and then see where we go from there. So that would be our recommendation.
Thank you, Darcy. Much appreciated. We'll
Can I go back to, can we just go back for a moment to the point? Because, we've been told that we can't, as it stands now, we cannot ban pesticides on private property. We can.
With certain exceptions, yes.
With some exceptions. But since this is city property, and I believe we have an understanding somewhere that no poisons are used on city property, there's some rare exceptions with the arundo. But now might be the time to bake that in, since it is, we're giving them city property.
Right. We have the power to require it if we want to. The one question I would note is we don't yet have a definition. Poisons is a vague term.
Well, we have a
If I could just jump in really quickly. Why don't, it's going to be city property, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I know that there's an interest coming forward for a policy and ordinance in this area.
Yes.
So that would apply to this. So I think that, you've got two ships kind of sailing in the same direction here.
Yeah.
We're going to be in near term addressing this desire for an ordinance, and I think that will take care of the issue. That
Okay,
you
so
bring forward.
so if I understand correctly, the city, it's still city property.
Yes.
And we can still control how it's used to a reasonable extent.
Well, for things like what you're mentioning, which is a pesticide free or herbicide free,
yeah.
that would apply, to this property.
Yeah. Good.
So I think that what I'd recommend is allow this to move forward.
Yes, I want
as
this
is.
to move forward.
Of
But I
course.
just want to bring it up now.
Sure,
Yeah.
no, it's a good point. And then,
Yeah.
we, in the near future, you'll be having something on your agenda that addresses this matter on city property that will handle the concern.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Councilmember Lang?
Yes, could I just have some clarification, because I heard Mr. Taylor speak to the low income, your desire, is that correct?
Yeah,
The city attorney's correct.
Mm-hmm.
The scope can be wide at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we do.
Can you come to the microphone, Mr. Taylor, so we capture it?
Mm-hmm.
And as you come up, if you could clarify, we had understood it was a moderate income, up to moderate income, but if you're willing to drop that max to low income, we'll take it. But we need that clarified.
So the key word that I just heard from you was up to.
Correct.
So it can be anything below that is fine. But again, Habitat is a low-income builder, primarily. We build up to affordable. That's kind of our...
And when you say affordable, you mean up to 80%?
$97,000 is the AMI here in Ventura County, what we use.
So up to median income.
That's correct. So the cost of a tiny home in this particular project, as the city manager was saying, it's a cost issue, but it isn't a significant one. We're talking 5 units. Our fundraising and gap funding can cover. A low income purchaser is not going to end up paying a lot of money for these units.
So then my recommendation to the council would be that we revise the agreement to set it at max, not at moderate. We set it at a max of does not exceed 30% of median income of Ventura County.
That would be ideal. But I don't want it to delay
Oh, that we can
approval.
do instantly.
Yeah.
If the council approves it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
And were there any
We'll move on to public comment. First, we have John Trent and then Bill Miley.
are you?
John.
Oh, cool. Oh, I'm already started. Okay, so I just wanted to represent the street of Franklin. So I don't know if we can pull up Darcy's presentation or the Habitat presentation, but it's the street that's on the corner of Franklin and Montgomery. Our street is extremely dangerous. I think you guys have all walked it. You've all seen it. It's very narrow. You can't get 2 cars down the street. The access point that they're proposing is on Franklin, with parking on Franklin. Since day one, we've said we don't want parking on Franklin. We're okay with having a development there. We weren't opposed to that. But we are opposed to having any sort of parking on Franklin. It's just not safe. It's not safe now. You try to turn left out there, it's a blind intersection. People are gonna get hit. People are gonna get hurt. Parking across the street at the church is a bad idea. You're gonna have to create a crosswalk across Montgomery. It's a busy street. There's ambulances going down all the time. So please get yourselves familiar with that area. It's an infrastructure issue. We're talking about building more density in an area that's already extremely dense. So and one thing that really concerns me from 2019, when we first started talking about this city lot, it's a city lot. It's owned by the city of Ojai. It's owned by the residents of Ojai, but we've never had any public engagement. There's been no outreach at all. It's just been behind the scenes, people trying to figure out what to do with this property. So what does it benefit Ojai? How does it benefit us? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I get it, it's gonna help Habitat, sure, that's fantastic, but how is it gonna help us? So we need some more community engagement. We need some more involvement with the residents, because we feel like we're just out of touch, and it's really disappointing. And again, safety issues and just lack of general outreach. So please
May I ask a
consider that.
question of John?
Yeah.
Did this go before the planning commission?
No.
It didn't go, okay. Does your street, I'm very familiar with that area. I didn't think it went before the planning commission, because I
Yeah.
remember. But is there signage that says resident parking only?
Yeah.
Okay, so that should, and we can specify in the MOU, no parking on Franklin. I mean, it's already understood, because.
No, but their proposal is access on Franklin. That's where people are gonna pull in, that's where they're gonna park, that's where they're gonna turn left, that's where they're gonna turn right. That's the problem. We can't have more traffic on that street. It's already too dense.
Okay, so access on Franklin,
Yeah, you
Okay.
can pull up the proposal, you can see it.
okay.
Should we finish?
It's the 4 parking spaces are on Franklin, so Mr. Trent's correct. The 4 parking spaces are proposed to be accessed off of Franklin, with the other 2 accessed off of Montgomery. There's no internal circulation within the site; it's too small for that. But it is the
Okay.
4 parking spaces would be accessed off Franklin. That is the present proposal.
Okay.
And I sent you guys some pictures, I don't know if you saw them, but it's
Yeah.
very, very difficult to turn left or right out of that neighborhood, because cars park along the street on Montgomery, and there's just no visibility at all.
Okay.
So it's very dangerous.
All right, well, those are problems that are there already.
They-
that we
yeah, they
need-
already
That we
exist.
need to,
Let's-
that we
this
need to
would
deal
compound
with.
the
We'll wait
issue.
for
Yeah,
discussion.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, John.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Next, we have Bill Miley.
Hello. There's a song that starts out with 99 bottles of beer on the wall. Well, we have 99 years of land lease here, which is really unique and quite unusual and good. For the past 5 to 6 years, Nick Ojai, who's an architect, and I have been involved in consideration of a small affordable housing development on this parcel, which has 8,900 square feet, plus or minus. Such an endeavor is challenging because of the size and the construction costs, even though the land is being supplied by our city in a lease arrangement for $1 a year. Oh, yeah, and at the end of 99 years, the city gets it all back. Habitat's sweat equity program is a good way to mitigate that. I surely support the proposed memorandum of understanding, the site plan illustration seems logical and appropriate for the parcel. I do have a question about ownership of vehicles. With limited parking, I couldn't tell very well, but it looks like 5 to 8 spaces. I suggest consideration of a clause which limits the number of parking of vehicles per housing unit. Otherwise, there will be overflow parking on Montgomery Street only, as Franklin is only 20 feet wide and prohibits any parking. And where will the visitors park? As to providing designated parking by number, I like that idea. I know the MOU leaves that to a later discussion, but without unit designations, parking issues will be conflicted. That's my place. You can't park there. I hope there will be a discussion. No, there's going to be space for bicycles. How about electric bikes and a charging station? When I looked at the illustrated plan, there's a problem between, excuse me, the intersection between North Montgomery and Franklin. It's a visual safety problem. More open visual space is needed on Montgomery at the intersection to view oncoming vehicles left and right. It's been a problem. It will be a problem unless we change that. I support the affordable housing project. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Next, we have Anita Cram and then Marissa Gonzalez. I'm assuming that's item number 2.
Hello again. So I think this is a really good project, but I really want to speak in support of it being all the lower income, the sweet spot. Forget the moderate. I mean, you know, we've got to start really doing things for people who are contributing to the community in jobs that pay lower income. They're doing vital services, and so the community needs to acknowledge, recognize, and if they want home ownership, and the city is in a position to provide that for them, to move forward with that. And I do think it benefits our community by supporting an economically diverse community, providing stability for lower income job levels. And home ownership, not with everyone, but with a lot of people, home ownership engenders a deeper commitment to the community, to the property. They own it. They want to make it nice. They want to do good things. So I think that's important. And I also want to speak to the trees. And my vote is don't even move the trees, because we need to start paying attention to that vital trait that trees have, which is called transpiration. So they not only cool the environment by providing shade, but they actually go through a process of releasing water into the atmosphere, which cools. So any time we can avoid, you know, doing anything to a tree that may kill it, unless it's just a really invasive tree, we need to, you know, provide securement for those trees staying in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Next, we have Marissa Gonzalez. Okay, well, any comments online, Mr. City Clerk?
Yes, Mayor. We have 2 raised hands so far. First, we'll have Stephen S., followed by Lyron S.
Here's Marissa's here.
Stephen C., please.
Is Marissa come?
Yeah. Marissa, you want to speak? No. Can we wait just a second?
We have one more in-house public comment.
Thank you.
Say hi, everybody, once again. I've been taking some notes. Happy New Year. I don't think I've seen you since last year, but I was on the link, and first of all, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for passing the ceasefire. Meant a lot, means a lot. So thank you, whether you voted or not, as a group, thank you, and congratulations. Just for peace, because I think most of us want peace on this planet, regardless of what we may sometimes bicker about or not. But thank you, congratulations. I've been taking notes, had some different things to say, but I think I'm not going to say anything other than thank you and congratulations. And I am becoming more a part of the community. I really enjoy being in Ojai. And the longer I'm here, the more I'm here. I want to do as much as I can to help and be a positive part of this community. So once again, thank you and namaste.
Thank you, Marissa. Go online now.
Yes. Moving on to our Zoom public comments. Stephen C., I see you're unmuted. You have the floor now.
Yeah, this is Stephen Colome, and I'm really pleased to see this project having developed to this point, and I hope that you end up passing the MOU tonight. This has been going on actually for some time. I remember seeing CEO Darcy Taylor's first presentation to council. And after that, mechanical engineer Justin Pennington and I made an appointment to visit with Mr. Taylor at the Habitat offices to talk about the physical systems that might be put in these units, and found them incredibly responsive. What I didn't understand was the business model, because I also asked questions about the level of affordability. What's unique about the Habitat for Humanity is that they're putting people into home ownership. These are in most cases individuals and families that would not be in a position of qualifying for a mortgage on any conventional property that's out there now, and that by carefully selecting residents through their very developed process, and sweat equity of being engaged in helping to build the property, as well as identifying other grant opportunities, they're able to get the capital cost of the units down low enough that a family or individual with a stable income is able to qualify for a mortgage and be able to build individual equity, whereas they would not normally. What I didn't understand is that Habitat for Humanity does not now build apartment complexes where individuals would rent. So that's part of what narrows the income range. But I think their business model is unique. It's very positive. Their record is exceptional. So I do hope that the MOU gets approved tonight, and that this is able to proceed with the working through the final development.
Thank you, Steve.
Next, we have Lyron S. Lyron, you have the floor.
Hi, my name's Laron. I live on Franklin Drive. I'm actually looking at that apple tree that we were talking about right now. I wanted to know if there will be any conversations and input from surrounding neighbors. I have some concerns, as has already been mentioned, about traffic safety, and with that limited visibility turning from Franklin to Montgomery, now with added people potentially, as well as potential noise from the large number of residents. I have a low level of trust at this point, with all of these plans being developed with seemingly little input from the neighbors. I understand this has specifically been dedicated, this lot, to affordable housing, and you're in a tough position of trying to use it for what it was meant for, but it's not a large lot. I'm assuming that the reason we're being shown these plans with really condensed housing, and in my opinion, too many units, are because it's not financially feasible to have a smaller number of units. I do support affordable housing in this lot, but at the same time, I'm not sure it makes sense to use this location on this particular corner for that many units. Just because we can physically fit all these units and people in this space doesn't mean we should. Thank you.
Thank you, Laron.
That's all public speakers on Zoom, Mayor.
We will move on to discussion. Who would like to begin?
Shall I? Since I'm on the end here. When Mr. John Trent, who's also a wonderful planning commissioner, and he lives on Franklin, stated that Franklin is a dangerous street, I want to address that, because to my way of thinking, there is absolutely no reason why that street should be dangerous. Whatever, and there's no, it's all, and my understanding is that there's already existing problems, and it's our responsibility as a city to address those existing problems, which will then help prevent the future problems with additional housing, okay? When you said that parking across the street is not practical because it's unsafe to cross, then we absolutely have to make it safe to cross. Let there be no doubt about that. And we own that, that's our city street. It's not Caltrans. We can make that street safe. It needs to be done. We're going to be working to make Grand Avenue safe. The whole city, there's no excuse for a small town like Ojai to have an unsafe street. We can do it. It's been done in other communities. We can do it. If there's poor visibility, there can be signage that there are ways to address that. It has to be addressed. I don't know what to do. He's raising his hand. Okay.
Through the mayor, if I could.
Just 1 second, one moment. Can we, as council, allow Mr. Trent to respond?
Yes. I mean, it's okay with me.
If I could. This appears to me to be conversation that should go on at a community meeting, not necessarily at the dais right now. We're here to approve an MOU. We're not here to discuss the finer points of what this design is going to look like. We have a lot of people here, and this could go on forever. So just as keeping us on task, I would say that what we need to do is have a community meeting where people can voice all of these and we can have a conversation. But right now, our job is to move the MOU forward. It's not to have that conversation here. So I would make a motion that we approve the MOU, and in some way, if need be, that we also agree to have a community meeting where all of these conversational issues can come up. I think it's just a much more practical and efficient way to deal with this.
And Councilmember, if I could confirm, your motion includes editing the affordability clause to be not exceeding 30% of median income.
Absolutely.
And is there a second for that motion?
Yes, I'll second it, and also adding the electric.
All electric. Yeah, that's right. All electric to section
under number
6C.
6C.
Agreed. Absolutely.
So I'll second it with that provision.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney, did you want to say something? Or no.
No, my
Okay,
point was
okay,
to make sure the
okay.
motion made those corrections, and it does.
Okay. Other comments from
Yeah, I just want to second what Councilmember Rule said, that we can address those concerns. Habitat has been an incredible partner, and I'm hoping that this is the first of other projects. They have been great to work with, and they've bent over backwards to meet all of our unique needs that preserve the climate and the environment and the character of who we are as a city, and so I'm sure that we will work out those concerns, and also the bigger concern of that not being as safe. I agree with Councilmember Francina. There's no reason why that exit should feel unsafe to anybody, or why that should be dangerous, and especially if we are going to have more people there. So I look forward to further discussions.
Thank you. I would like to echo my council members' statements. Thank you very much. And thank you, Darcy, you're a very patient man. Come back many times, so thank you. Really dialed in all the details. Really appreciate it. Habitat has been a great partner, and we're super excited. And as Anita Cram said, what we really need is homes for very low income and low income, and in an economically diverse economy here. And community, and also putting people into home ownership and building equity is so important. So really grateful about that. And yes, let's meet. Thank you, John, for coming and your comments. And let's meet and work out all the details. And there's absolutely no reason why anything should be unsafe. So, just really excited about this project and getting people of low income into their own homes. It's really wonderful. So thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Just really quickly through the mayor, I just wanted to say thank you so much to Habitat for standing up and saying we can do low income. Let's do that. I mean, you stood up and said that. And so I can't tell you how much this community appreciates that. And also thank you to Anita for letting us know that the value is in economic diversity. And so I'm so pleased that we're moving forward in the way that we are with this. It's amazing, and yay everybody.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah. So I also want to thank everybody who's participated in putting this project forward. And I do want to remind everybody that, 18 months ago, we were in a lot of trouble with the state. They didn't like our contributions to affordable housing or didn't think we'd done enough. And, this was really the first project that we, got to look at, and we've supported it wholeheartedly. And then we've gone through, 2 more projects that have brought us to compliance with RENA in an 18-month period where we've got an 8-year, planning period. And I'm very proud to be part of having achieved that for our city, for all of the affordable housing opportunities that are coming. But I think we really do need to pay special attention and thanks to this project. The home ownership part of this is, really a huge thing for changing people's fortunes. And so my one comment would be if there is a willingness to add to the motion that we ask Habitat to propose a parking plan that has fewer cars on Franklin and more cars parking off of Montgomery.
Councilmember, would you accept that?
I would say that is part of the design, and it's not part of the MOU. And so, it's not that I'm against it. It's just that I don't think that it is. This is the place to do that. That's part of the community discussion in my mind. It's part of where we open it up for everybody to give input on what this could look like. So, I mean, if somebody feels really strongly, but otherwise, I would say let's move forward with the MOU and let's move into the design phase and throw these kinds of conversations to the community and look to them to crowdsource the wisdom of the people that actually live there and come up with the solution. So my inclination would be to take a vote.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, any comments?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's have a roll call, please.
Yes, Mayor. We have a motion by Councilmember Rule with a second by Councilmember Lang to approve the Memorandum of Understanding as stated in the staff report and noticed in the agenda, and to add an item 6C, an all-electric clause in the responsibilities of Habitat, and to edit the affordability clause to not exceed 30% of the median income of Ventura County. And is that motion understood by all? Roll call. Councilmember Rule.
Yes.
Councilmember Francina.
Yes.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Mayor Sticks.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Whitman.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Yippee, low income housing, yay. All right, thank you very much, and thank you Habitat for being here. All right, we will move on to the public communications remainder. No cards, one card. We have Rachel Shapiro. Is Rachel Shapiro here? Oh, okay.
So I was just going to comment. It's interesting that that all of this has already been written up in this beautiful packet, but I just wanted to add, I think it's perfectly done and perfectly laid out in format and style. I myself write a lot of forms that I've submitted to City Hall and also to the local library, including the Safety Commission. You know, I do several carbon copies as well. But I would like to add that no, I think it's good that the Safety Commission is approving the additional 2 parts to not including 30% higher, and then also including electric as part of the standard clause of the former Habitat for Humanity or HUD. This is per the Lions Club. I was recently
I'm sorry, Rachel, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is general public comment. We already took public comment on Habitat for Humanity at the beginning of the item, so.
I understand, yeah.
Okay.
I was invited recently to the Lions Club out in the community of Casitas and local Ojai proper, and having to do with business contracts and things, which Habitat, as you know, and now HUD is a part of, as well as being part of the government, because they share their clause. Now, I just wanted to go into that to be specific, not because anything is incorrect, but I wanted to add something, like I said, that may be helpful. We were talking about the utilization, and I actually wrote up a poll for something similar if the city would like to include it. Just like I recommended at the local library, that they put a link over to the Lions Club so that people may research the differences between private established business like Habitat for Humanity and then also government agencies such as the library, the police department, or Safety Commission, and of course City Hall. And I was invited last time. I was also invited this time through City Hall. My suggestion poll would say something similar. What would you suggest to the city with resource to improve local resources? Include 3 practical examples with resource. Now, I think that Habitat for Humanity is wonderful, and they should include this. But because they are their private-owned nonprofit organization group through the Bureau of Land Management and the Department of Interior, they should include this as well as local city resources separately. For example, real estate offices should provide low-income housing as an alternative opportunity for such lower-income groups that we've been discussing. And specifically, I think the most important part, and this is the one example my father suggested to me on the phone.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. We have to stop now. Thank you. I'm sorry, Rachel. Out of equity, we have to stop now. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any comments online, Weston?
No raised hands on Zoom, Mayor.
Okay, all right. We will move on to the public hearing. Thank you very much. Item number 3, the levy and collection for landscape and lighting districts and plaza maintenance assessment. Do we have a staff report?
Ms. Palmer.
So, good evening, council members, Mayor. So this is, okay, I also had somebody saying they couldn't hear me, so I want to make sure that it's close enough. So this is an annual process that you all have been going through for many, many, many years, decades. So we had our first landscape and lighting district created in the city of Ojai in 1930. So many years this has been going on. So this is quite simply, it's an annual process. It's a step in the annual process so we can get our assessments, our special assessments on the tax roll in July. So this public hearing is required to get that done. So that's what this is. We've got our 2 lighting and landscape districts, and we have our plaza maintenance district. So we have a total of 3 special assessment districts. We're holding the levy at the same amount. So it's just a matter of getting our information and our documentation to the county to put on the tax roll.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Yep. Councilmember?
Thank you. From what I'm understanding, this is pro forma.
Yes.
Is that what this is?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And I just want to confirm for the public, there are no new lights added. Just people are concerned about our dark skies ordinance.
There have been no new lights added. This is status quo. It is something that you've seen over and over again, and just a matter of getting this on the tax roll.
Thank you, because it's important for the wildlife in particular, the dark.
It is.
Thank you very much. Yep.
So I had two questions.
Okay.
And I, first of all, when I looked at the street trees, it said trimming, removal, spraying, watering. Is spraying pesticides by any chance?
We are not spraying
Okay,
pesticides.
good.
We are
Good.
spraying none.
Okay, good.
And as Mr. Harvey stated, we are moving forward with something coming back to council.
Okay,
we
great,
are all
great.
actively working
Thank
on
you.
that.
I had a feeling that was going to be the answer, and I
Yes.
just wanted to clarify for my own.
Yes.
And then also, and I spoke to the city manager about this earlier, that just making sure that we are, and I was validated in, and I just wanted to hear from you too, that we're making sure that we're working with Edison to keep our energy costs as low as possible and not use lighting that both looks good but also that is,
efficient.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yes, and we are.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Nope. We will go ahead and open the public hearing. We have no cards. Any comments online, Mr. City Clerk?
No raised hands, Mayor, but let's give our Zoom participants a chance to participate in this public hearing. If you'd like to comment on item 3 of tonight's agenda, we'll give you a moment to raise your hand. And I see no raised hands for this public hearing, Mayor.
Okay, we will close the public hearing then and move on to discussion. Who would like to begin? Councilmember Lang?
Well, I was going to propose that we make a motion to to adopt the resolution ordering the work, and that we direct the city clerk to transmit the necessary documents to the County of Ventura for levying the collection of property assessments for said districts.
Was there a second?
I will second that.
Okay. And Mayor Pro Tem, any comments online? Okay. All right. Well, let's have a roll call.
No
Okay.
comment. Sorry, I was muted.
Okay, that's okay. All right, roll call, please.
Yes, we have a clear motion by Councilmember Lang, second Rule, and roll call. Mayor Pro Tem Whitman.
Yes.
Councilmember Rule.
Yes.
Mayor Sticks.
Yes.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Councilmember Francina.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Palmer. Really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, we will move on to item number 4. Initiative measure to keep pickleball courts open at City Hall. Is there a staff report?
A brief one from our city attorney again.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you is a certified initiative measure petition. As a brief background, the voters of the city may propose any ordinance, and in so doing, they have to comply with certain procedural requirements that have been met, secure sufficient signatures, in this case, at least 533 signatures of registered City of Ojai voters, meet certain petition format requirements. All of that has been done. The county registrar of voters and the elected city clerk, Ms. Burrell, and our chief deputy city clerk, Mr. Montgomery, have confirmed the petition is sufficient. It is certified. That's in the packet. Thus, the council has a certified initiative petition, and under the state elections code and constitution has 3 options. Option 1 is to adopt the ordinance as presented without alteration. If it is adopted by the council, it is as if the voters had adopted it. So the initiative's provisions regarding future modification would apply, allowing future modification but by the council, but only under the limitations stated in. It's as if the voters had adopted it. Option 2 is to submit the measure to the voters at the November 5th, 2024 general municipal election. Option 3 is to order an Elections Code Section 9212 impacts report, which is a report that assesses the initiative's fiscal impact, land use effect, community commerce, or any other matter requested by the council. If requested for an impacts report, that comes back within 30 days, and then the council will then have the same 2 options: adopt the ordinance or submit it to the voters. Theoretically, the council, as has been done here in the past, file a lawsuit to seek relief from a court from doing any of those duties. As noted in the staff report, we've not yet identified any grounds for a lawsuit, but this is America, one could sue anyone for any reason. but we've not yet identified grounds for a lawsuit, hence that needn't be discussed further. 2 options: adopt the ordinance, submit it to the voters. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions? Nope. All right, we will move on to public comment. First, we have Tim Kraut, then Larry Steingold, and then Brenda Kraut.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. I want to give a little background to the origination of the pickleball courts. May 2019, we requested the city allow us to use one of the tennis courts at Libby Park. Council tells us we can use the abandoned tennis court at City Hall campus. This court was abandoned for 5 decades and was unusable. November 2019, the city agreed to repave the abandoned court. Paving was completed. January 2020, play started on the newly paved court with temporary equipment. The city started hearing complaints from 2 neighbors. September to October of 2020, the pickleball group installed permanent nets and applied the finished surface on the courts, no expense to the city. April 2020 to November 2021, the city conducted 10 different sound tests at the courts. Early 2022, Parks and Rec Commission was tasked with developing a report on pickleball in Ojai. November 2022, city hired pickleball sound mitigation firm to perform yet another sound study. April 2023, after 13 months, the Parks and Rec Commission forwarded their extensive report to the council. This report was never discussed at a council meeting. December 2023 and January 2024, the council votes to close the City Hall courts. Courts to close June 4th, 2024. There are over 250 people who, on a regular basis, enjoy the community these courts have facilitated. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Next, we have Larry Steingold, then Brenda Kraut, and then Leslie Clark.
Larry Steingold, resident taxpayer, soon to be maybe pickleball player. Maybe, if my knees hold out, besides biking. I think if any of you have signed the petition, you should recuse yourself because you obviously have skin in the game. I think if this gets passed, you should add a resolution, addition to the proposal, that the city and or the pickleballers acquire the property adjacent from those people who have an issue with the constant noise. Those people who don't have an issue with the constant noise, they can live there from now until forever. But the people who are being put to having to listen to this should have their homes purchased by the city as part of the deal. Because their loss of privacy, their loss of noise, tranquility, peace, and quiet, just like anybody else. You wouldn't let a trucking company go there. You wouldn't let anything else go there that has noise, constancy. And if it's quiet, great. But if those people can hear the thakata, thakata, thakata from 7 in the morning till 8 at night, they deserve triple pane windows. They deserve outside landscaping so that no noise comes into their home. They didn't sign on to this. The city made a mistake and took care of it. They put it in, and it's great. And all of a sudden, oh my God, the noise is constant. So you ended up with lawsuits. You ended up with cutting the times. You ended up with this. And now we're spending $600,000 maybe in Sewell Park instead of $200,000. And that money's going to come out of the parking budget, whose roads aren't going to get paved, right? Is some Sunset Place ever going to get paved? I think it's Sunset. Anyway, but the point is, add that the city and all pickleballers or whatever, my tax dollars go to buy the property next door or across the street or whatever the case may be. Because if I were them, I'd sue for the value of the home, the loss of value, the loss of peace and quiet. No different than anybody else. Because if that man's home was worth, I don't know, $2 million and now it's worth $1 million, he should sue for the $1 million, plus the cost of moving, whatever it is, and just tie it up. Because why not? He's going to lose the value anyway, so he might as well go to war. Okay? So just put it in the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Next, we have Brenda Kraut, then Leslie Clark, then Bill Miley.
Good evening. I'm Brenda Kraut, part of the Ojai Pickleball Group. And as you know from the information in your agenda packet, our group was able to obtain approximately twice as many signatures as were required for this initiative to qualify for the November ballot. The fact that we were able to get this many signatures in such a short time indicates that a large portion of the Ojai population feels that the people should decide the use of a public park. Many complaints were heard from residents about the city deciding that one group of the public can use the parks but other groups cannot. A total of 533 signatures were required to qualify the initiative for the November ballot. We obtained 1,187 signatures. The county election department used only 668 of these signatures to confirm that we had an adequate number to qualify for the November ballot. Consequently, there were signatures from 519 Ojai citizens that were not even considered. So in all, there are 1,187 households that are saying, let the people decide. I think this is a loud cry from the voting Ojai citizens that public parks are for the public and should be available for the public to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Next, we have Leslie Clark, then Bill Miley, and then Jessica McCrea.
Hello, my name's Leslie Clark, and I can't believe I'm here again. I really regret that this issue has become so heavy. I mean, pickleball is a light and wonderful sport, and I regret that it's taking your time and money and our time, but it's a very important issue to everybody that plays pickleball. You made hundreds, or the city council, former city council made hundreds, if not thousands of people very happy when you agreed to spend $9,000 to asphalt the city hall courts, and then the pickleball community jumped in and did the rest. And with that, for $9,000, the community got a world-class recreational facility. And then it started getting expensive because some neighbors complained. Well, we tried to accommodate them, you tried to accommodate them, but the reality is we went out and got 1,087 whatever signatures. 13 of those signatures were neighbors. So that means the majority of the neighbors want us to be there. And I think that we live in a democracy and the majority should prevail. And I think it's time to recognize that we need to, that it's impossible to make every voter happy.
Thank you, Leslie. Next, we have Bill Miley. I'm going to ask you to hold applause. Thank you for enthusiasm. Bill Miley, Jessica McCrea, and then Klaus-Peter Fleischman.
Hello. It's a sad time in our city when a group of residents consider their own needs greater than others. Their statement supporting the initiative petition, which they used to get signatures, had distorted messages, lack of important facts, and outright impossible promises. Their past pickleball play in 4+ years at this court is less than hospitable to the neighbors and other citizens who recognize that repetitive noise generated by pickleball paddles hitting pickleball hard plastic balls, and in addition to the voices from players. In the petition statement, the term respectful and responsible is used for relations with the neighbors living within 120 feet to 240 feet. For 4 years, Up to 16 players have been playing on those 4 courts. And it shows that the promise they're going to make now for the future was not practiced then. Many times it was noisy and voices were loud. The official initiative statement does not tell the following. 1. There have been noise complaints filed by citizens for about 4 years. Sound barriers have been installed. They've reduced the sound some. 2. The city paid for a professional sound study costing $13,000. The sound engineers determined there was sound noise reaching nearby homes in a repetitive manner, pop, 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 which entered the homes and also in part of the 8 acres behind City Hall. The Children's Memorial Garden was there. They moved to Liberty Park because of that. The recommendation from the engineers was a 30-foot wall to protect the court. They did not tell the potential signers that the players signed a petition, who were signing a petition, were over 60% who lived outside of the city. They tried to take over some courts in Libby Park. The tennis people said no. In Carpinteria, there was a petition, initiative petition, to build oil industry on the bluffs, Carpinteria Bluffs. The city resisted that. They put it on the ballot. They held public education information sessions to help people understand the facts, both sides, and then they put it on the ballot. It was defeated. I urge your council.
Thank you, Bill.
Public education.
Thank you. And next we have Jessica McCrea, then Klaus-Peter Fleischman.
Hello, Jessica McCrea. I just want to strongly urge the council to opt for option 3. I've read the initiative and it's very unclear what it means. And it's very unclear what impact it's going to have. It's very unclear are they going to be able to play 24/7? Are they going to be able to put lights in? Who's going to pay for what? What's the impact of permanently giving away city land? I think the voters need to know exactly what they're signing up for when they vote for this. I know the petition, a lot of those some of those signatures were obtained with incorrect information, saying that the sound was no longer a problem, that the neighbors were all fine with it, all that kind of good stuff, and that the hours would be adhered to that are there now. And so the people who signed the petition weren't given all the full information. I think the voters deserve to get all of the full information, and I think the city should put together a report of what that impact is going to be when if they put that on the ballot, so that people know what they're voting for. Because everyone knows pickleball is a great sport. It's fun. No one's denying that. So if that's all you think you're voting for, then of course people are going to vote yes. But people need to be informed that that's not what they're voting for. They're voting for continuing to ruin the peace and quiet to the neighbors. They're voting to give up city land permanently. And they also are voting to use city funds to avidly fight in court and not settle for any lawsuit that might come from this initiative. That's the way that the initiative's written. I'm not really sure how legal it is. There's really no, there's a clause in there that says that they commit to be quiet or whatever that might be. Who's committing? Who's taking this land? Who is the person that is going to be in control of that piece of property? Who's going to be responsible? So I'm just asking very strongly, please do an impact report so that the voters know what they're voting for. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Next we have Klaus-Peter Fleischman.
Hello, good evening everybody. I'm very sad that we have to discuss this because I have followed this tragic development of pickleball for the last 4 years, and unfortunately I was gone for half a year, and the conclusion is incomprehensible for me, that it was voted to close the court. That's incomprehensible for me. So, not knowing all the facts, I haven't talked to any of the players. One thing is, since I came back and I played tennis and pickleball equally, is that the noise reduction is significant. We use quiet paddles and quiet balls, and everything that was done before is, in a sense, almost ridiculous to look at, because it doesn't deal with the same facts anymore. If you have the main issue reduced by 50%, I don't know if that's correct, that's what I was told, then you're dealing with all these things that have been said before. They are irrelevant in a sense. So how much issue there is, I think that should be revisited. Closing the courts, I don't know how you cannot close something when you made a mistake without having an alternative. And as long as there's no alternative, you should never close these courts. With 200 people playing every day, we're playing more than all the tennis players all year round. I mean, I don't know where your minds are, but please open them up. This is not right. The course should not be closed, and there should be a new look, and people should get together. I think it should not be that difficult to reach a consensus here. Thank you.
Thank you, Klaus-Peter. Any comments online, Mr. City Clerk?
Yes, Mayor, we have one raised hand. Patty, you have the floor.
Oops. I don't want that, sorry.
Please proceed, Patty.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Patty Tabor. I live in the Ojai Valley, and I've been playing pickleball at the City Hall courts since their inception. And I don't think I need to reiterate the many benefits of pickleball, since these have been described multiple times by many people at these meetings over the last 4 years. So along with other members of the community, I have been attending these City Hall meetings as we have attempted to expand access to courts in order to keep pace with the sport's growing popularity. And I'm heartened to see that some progress is being made on that front. In the last year, however, our efforts have had to turn to simply retaining access to the existing City Hall courts that we built with help from the city and have meticulously maintained since then. In response to the few who expressed displeasure with noise, we have implemented numerous sound mitigating measures, and this despite the fact that several of the complainers do not even live within earshot of the courts. With the success of our petition and the abundance of positive responses, including, as Leslie mentioned, among those who live nearest to the courts, I think it has become clear that our continued use of them should be approved by the council. They are a great benefit to the literally hundreds of people in Ojai, as well as visitors from all over the world who come to play in this wonderful setting where everyone of every age is welcomed to play for free. So I would respectfully urge the City Council to adopt this ordinance without further ado. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Patty.
No more raised hands on Zoom, Mayor.
Okay, we have one more in the House, Dale Hansen.
Thank you. I'm Dale Hansen. I live in the city of Ojai. Can you hear me now?
A little louder.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. I just want to say, someone spoke and said there's no other place. There are other places, and Lake Casitas is adding another pickleball court. We have Soul Park, which is on the next issue. This noise that goes on, to say that it's half diminished is not true. If you live there, you know it's not true. It's bang, 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 bang all day long, and it's horrible. And yes, thank you, Larry Steingold, for saying that the value of the homes in that area is greatly reduced. I'm a real estate agent. I couldn't sell one of those homes for what it would have been 5 years ago. The value of the home is reduced. The people are annoyed constantly. We have Soul Park to consider, and it'll be a great place to play. I won't go into all the details about that because that'll be next on the issue, but I urge you to please vote for option 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale. That's it. All right, we will move on to discussion. Who would like to begin?
I just want to, I'm going to begin only to say that there are some untruths that need to be dispelled immediately that have continued to say. Giving up city land, this is not giving up city land. The city still maintains the land. Not being this is not irrevocable. If the city were to put it back on the ballot, the people could make another choice. So let's be really clear about that. This is no land grab by people. This is a city park, and this is the people of the city deciding how they would like to use that. It does not in any way give anybody ownership of that land. So that is just blatantly untrue. And it is a misconception that has come over and over and over again. And so, you know, I just think we have to, let's at least deal with the truth. Let's deal with the truth of the matter, okay? Let's not say things that are simply not true. It's not fair. The other thing to say is the Children's Memorial Garden post-dated the pickleball courts. That is, the pickleball courts were there before the Children's Memorial Garden came, and the pickleball community offered to move the Children's Memorial Garden to a more favorable place. That was denied. The pickleball community also offered to put in triple pane windows and to do landscaping for the neighbors. That was also denied. So you know, I don't know that people know this, but that is the case. And finally, what I think is really important to understand is that 16 neighbors, fully aware of what that initiative said, signed the initiative, wanting to put this to ballot. We have a feasibility study. We paid $13,000 for a sound study. The Park and Recs Department spent 12 to 16 months writing that up with findings, and their findings were to keep those courts open. That was never discussed here. So, you know, I'm just, if we can't at least be honest about what we're talking about, then, you know, this whole thing is ridiculous, and we have to tell the truth here. Okay? Yeah, let's tell the truth.
Let's
So
keep
so
quiet,
I
please.
think it's very fair that we understand who's going to own it. The city retains the right. It's a public park. It maintains a public park. The city can change the usage by putting it to the ballot. Very, very simple. Put it back to the people if you want to change the usage.
Point of order, this is a repeat of what's already been
I'm
said.
sorry, Mayor Pro Tem? Point of order?
Point of order. You don't need to hear things 2 and 3 times.
Well, I
You're
would say,
repeating
look in the
exactly
mirror,
what
my
you said.
friend.
Let's make it about policy and not personality. So
Agreed.
who would like to continue?
Well, I'm actually ready to make a motion that council consider option 3, and I'd like to add some additional text to that. My motion would be to order staff to prepare a report on the pickleball initiative ordinance impacts per election code section 9212. And I would like, in addition to the report, to have a very detailed question and answer additional, so the public can really look and find we've received numerous emails with the questions that the public has, and it should be straightforward, easy to understand. And I should make clear that our city attorney has an obligation to be neutral on this, am I correct? So that a staff is neutral on this issue, and so we can.
Yeah, staff has no vote. The council and the people have votes, not
so
staff.
we can be assured that the report is straightforward and honest. And I don't know about, there's 2 additional considerations. Could the report include current sites and in addition to Soul Park? And because I keep hearing about other places that are putting in pickleball. I mean, that's optional. If staff could include that, I think that would be helpful. And then should we address, I mean, the staff report has to make clear that it can only be changed, that's one of the questions, through a vote. No future council can make these changes. And then what about the issue, is it appropriate to have a paragraph about possible future lawsuits, or is that appropriate or not? Sorry, I'm looking for guidance on how to properly word this motion.
It's not uncommon for an impacts report in an initiative context to analyze potential legal risk and options and risk thereof. That's not uncommon for an impacts report.
Okay, I'd
An
like to-
impacts report can include anything the council asks it to include, but we are limited to what the council is, what's in the motion. So if the
Okay.
request is to have us analyze the fiscal impact, the land use effect, the community and community commerce effects, the and these additional points to answer the questions raised by the public in the public comment emails to date for this item that were received for this item, and to assess litigation risks, that's a valid subject for an impacts report.
Should I read the questions so the public is aware of what is being asked? The public that is watching? Can I read the questions?
They're in the record.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
have
You don't need to read them. No,
Yeah,
they're in the
okay.
record.
Okay.
And then I do have a question. So, yeah, okay. If you answer all the questions that have been asked, we'll have it. We'll have a great report.
And just to clarify,
Yeah.
we don't, as we have all seen before, sometimes individuals in the community will email one council member and not email the city clerk's department. We only know what the city clerk's department has received. So that's the questions we will answer. Is all the questions that went to the public comment email through the agenda packet. I can't know somebody stops in the street and asks a question.
Yes.
I can't answer that.
Yes. Okay.
But we can do it in an FAQ format. That's doable.
Through the mayor.
Well, we're going to take turns, Councilmember Lang, and then Mayor Pro Tem, and then I'll go, and then we can get back to you.
So I am prepared to second Councilmember Francina's motion, but I was also wondering, so Councilmember Francina, if I could ask just for a point of clarification. So if we go with option 3, then, okay, never mind, I would just answer my own question. So if that occurs, the legislative body shall either adopt the ordinance within 10 days or order an election pursuant to option number 2. Okay, so we would have a choice then after the impacts report to take it to the voters or to move with option 1 or 2.
Right. The same two choices that exist now would exist then with the benefit of the report. But there's no other choice that the report creates. It's same 2 default choices.
Okay.
Off to the voters or adopt it outright.
Okay. Okay. I think that clear. I'm just wondering if there. I apologize. I'm talking this through. I was just wondering. No, that's okay. I'm gonna second the motion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that one of the questions is addressing the extent of the city's future control of that property if the initiative is passed. Was that one of the questions?
Yes.
Okay.
When it's my turn, I have
And
an
then
addition. Yeah.
And then just, one final comment. I really don't think it's appropriate to tell members of the community that are advocating for their position that their position is ridiculous.
Thank you. Okay, I would agree to get an impact report and to answer all those questions. It's very important. And then, I support democracy, so clearly we have a lot of signatures. So take it to the voters.
Through the mayor.
Councilmember.
I think that there's been much disinformation on both sides. So I welcome a FAQ that actually answers these questions so that the misinformation that has been running rampant I'm not going to say on both sides, but the misinformation that's been running rampant and has been running rampant for 4 years can finally be dispelled. So I 100% support a feasibility. My question then becomes, can each of the council members submit questions as long as they go to all other council members? Because I think that, you know, we don't want to make this a completely unwieldy document, but we also want to dispel misinformation on either side. And I think everybody benefits by having the truth being told. Everybody. So I support absolutely a impact study. And but I want to be very cognizant that the questions are answered that need to be answered, but we are not overwhelmed by, you know, a 50-page fact. That's the only thing that I have to say on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to Councilmember Rule's comment, we have to, if this does end up being adopted, we have 30 days. I would say that, you know, as your staff, we could field questions from all council members submitted individually. I would just ask that if you decided to do that, you would send them to me individually no later than close of business on Friday. Anything moving into next week, you know, we have to turn this in 30 days. Going to want to go through everything. So if it comes in on Monday, too bad.
Thank you.
Councilmember Francina.
So we received this afternoon a letter from Leonard Clafe, and the reason he's not here is because his wife had eye surgery, and so this could be one of the letters where the city attorney is not copied. Can we be assured that you would automatically?
If I could just jump in,
Yeah.
if you're concerned about something not being included in the public record, just include that with your comments to me.
Okay. Okay.
And that's the
thank you.
vehicle that will make sure of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second. Could we have the roll call, please?
I'm
Yep.
sorry, through the mayor, I have one final point. Will all council members know all of the questions that have come in prior to actually seeing the responses? So in other words, if Sousa sends you Lenny Clafe's letter that I haven't seen, will I be apprised of what has come in?
You're
Hold
copied on it.
To avoid Brown Act issues,
Mhm.
it's going to be all the questions in, and then we put them in an answer, and that comes out. We're not going to be emailing drafts back and forth, and we're not going to be emailing questions back and forth. That creates too much risk for potential lawsuits. So it's all questions come in, and then we'll answer all those questions in the report that'll be presented once done.
I just to follow up, I fail to see how a list of the questions given to everybody that where there is no cross-pollination on the answers, like a final list sent out. I fail to see how that would be a Brown Act violation if there's no cross-pollination or no discussion on it. I just think it behooves the council to know and to be able to affirm that all of the questions that they might have, I just think it makes sense, and I don't see the Brown Act violation in that. I would see if we saw answers, and I would see if we had conversation, but a straight list that doesn't cross-pollinate, I don't
The
see
issue
how
is that you can make quite a substantive statement in the form of a question. Isn't it true that question mark? That's the issue I see with it. I think the solution is to just every single question you want answered, send it in. We'll weed out the duplicates. Don't worry about duplicates. We'll weed those out.
I will accede to your evaluation of that. Thank you.
Councilmember Francina.
So yesterday we received public comments that everyone can access that's posted on the website, so the public can see the questions. The whole council, if you haven't had a chance, you can see the questions. And Councilmember Rule, you were copied on Leonard Clay's email. It came in late today, but
Thank
you do
It
have a
came in
copy.
late today.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call, please.
Yes, Mayor, we have a motion by Councilmember Francina with a second by Councilmember Lang. And the motion is to order the impacts report of Elections Code Section 9215, Section C. And I'm going to list out all of the impact reports requests from the council. There will be the fiscal impact, land use effect, community commerce, and then any of the other matters raised will be the Q&A, or frequently asked questions for the public to consume, taken from our public comments tonight. The neutral city report is inherent. It will also include the current available sites in addition to Soul Park and the potential legal risk. Motion understood?
Yes.
Roll call. Councilmember Francina.
Yes.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Councilmember Rule.
Yes.
Mayor Sticks.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Whitman.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Motion
Thank you
passes.
very much.
5-0.
Let's take a brief intermission, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay. All right, we are back. If we could please come to quiet. We're going to move on to item number 5. Let's wait for quiet. That's okay. We're starting. Klaus Peter, we're starting. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item number 5, Pickleball Soul Park Award of Public Works Contract. Staff report, please.
Mayor, Ms. Palmer has a staff report for you tonight.
I do. I have a staff report. So the item before you tonight is asking for approval to award a contract for the construction of the new pickleball courts at Soul Park. So after your council meeting in January, you directed staff to start negotiations with the county and trying to work out a land lease agreement. Mr. Harvey and I met with the county in a matter of days after that meeting. The first 2 months of the 4 months that you gave us were spent in this communication with the county, in this negotiation with the county, and trying to get an agreement that worked for everybody. We did that it took a while, but it happened, and they were very, very cooperative, and we owe a lot of thanks and gratitude to the county for working with us. So that was a 2-month process, but prior to that, we started the design on the new courts and came up with some alternatives, tried to maximize the space as much as possible and get as many courts as we could. Met with members of the community, of course, the pickleball community and the paddle tennis community. And as you can imagine, there are lots of opinions. And I would expect that, and no problem. So I wanted to just show, so the action before you tonight is to authorize the city manager to sign the contract, as well as we would be asking and recommending that these courts, the city hall courts, remain open until the new courts are ready to play on. So the expectation is that we should see the courts complete and ready to play on, hopefully by the end of July. So it's this has been an ambitious project from the beginning, and we have worked tirelessly and as quickly as humanly possible to get to this point this quickly. As you may remember, the last time I was here, I illustrated the life cycle of a CIP project. 4 months is not in that life cycle. It's on the very short end. So I have just one slide that I wanted to show you in case nobody's had or everybody hasn't had an opportunity to see what the plan looks like. So James, could I see the slide, please? So there's a lot going on this plan, but I really wanted to just illustrate the courts that are in green, highlighted in green, are the dedicated pickleball courts. So we have a total of 8 courts. So we have 5 dedicated pickle. The blue are the dedicated paddle tennis courts, and the yellow one up on the top right corner is a multi-court. It's for both sports. It will have adjustable nets. The only real of course, there's difference in the striping, but the net height is different as well. So we've built that into the plans that we can raise and lower the net if need be. So there's some very nice features, I believe, in this plan. And again, it was a challenge to try to squeeze as many courts, and we wanted to provide enough space between the courts. So the minimum that we could require we wanted to get was 5 feet in between. We don't want people running into fences. So the thick red line around the courts, around the perimeter and interior, that's all fencing. So there's an aisle in between. You can see that the little diagonal lines are gates. So each court has a dedicated gate to get in. So no walking across courts, no hopefully minimizing the ball on yell that we hear a lot playing pickleball, and then gates on the east side and the west side. So there's enough space behind the baseline for both courts, for the paddle tennis and the pickleball, and they're different. The court sizes are slightly different. So this is the plan that we came up with, and I think it's actually a great plan. We ended up on the northwest corner, so the top left corner of the plan and the lower right corner of the plan. I'll say that because a lot of people get confused on north, south, east, and west. So, but you can see the rectangles, and we ended up pouring additional concrete. So if you've been out there, you can see that on those two corners, it's almost a notch out. We're putting concrete in to get all the courts running in the right direction, the north-south orientation, and maximize the number. So this is the plan that we have come up with. We got 2 bids on it, and we are going to award, with your approval tonight, award to the low bidder, which we are required to do. And they're out of Moore Park, so they're fairly local, and they are a court specialist. Happen to get the low bid from a court specialist. So I think it's a great plan, and we're super excited. So with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much.
You're
Exciting.
welcome. Yes.
Any questions from council?
Microphone, please.
Let me see how I can ask this, and if I even want to ask it. Are we actually asking, is staff is asking us to make 2 decisions, one to approve the work and the cost, and then also whether or not to extend the deadline?
Yes.
And that can be 2 separate motions, correct?
Yeah, it could
It
be.
can-
Staff recommends that they go together,
Okay,
but it could be 2 separate.
okay, I'm fine either way right now. Yeah.
Any other questions? Councilmember Lang?
So I have a question. So when I saw the price, I had I knew it was going to be expensive. I had a little sticker shock.
As did we.
Yeah. Are there any? I know that one time a community group had talked about perhaps doing some fundraising. Are 2 questions? One, where is this money going? What is not going to happen as a result of this money going toward pickleball? And 2, is there any talk about potential grants or fundraising that we could rally the community to do?
So we've also considered that. The problem and challenge that we have had with this particular phase, and I'm calling it phase 1, which is this that you've just seen, and then next year in the CIP, there's another phase 2. And what I would hope to do on that phase 2, and the scope is to be determined at this point, but I would expect that we would want to construct some shade structures on the outside of the courts, on the left side of the drawing and the right side. So that would be the east side and the west side, and some sort of an awning of sort to create some shade for people who are maybe waiting to play. So that's the project, because we may have time. So we would like to raise some, we kind of, Ben and I, Mr. Harvey and I talked about this and thought that this might be a good potential project for a community group or for somebody who would like to raise money or some other options. We didn't have the luxury at this particular stage to go after any grant funding, but we perhaps could in the future if we wanted to add or enhance these courts. And maybe even construct more courts.
And if I could just jump in really quick, we always accept donations. So if somebody is seeing this and thinks it's amazing, yes, we will take your contribution. Thank you.
The Rachel Lang Pickleball Paradise. No,
Yes.
I'm
Whatever you want.
We'll take the check.
Gotta redo it, yeah. Mayor Pro, yep.
Oh, I was just going to answer the second part of your question. So the second part of your question is, when we did our paving project last year, we made some design changes in the field. The project was designed a little bit more, it was designed without our design team having gone out to the streets to really design it properly. For example, they didn't know what the surface level was, the sub-base, for example. So we ended up having a surplus in that budget for those streets. So we are that's the recommendation number 2, is transferring the surplus budget from last year's paving project, not the one you'll be seeing in the next month or so, but last year's. So.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you have a question?
Councilmember Lang actually asked my question.
Okay, all right. Well, we will move ahead to public comment. We have Bill Miley.
To reach this position in city planning and construction specifications has obviously required much effort, energy, frustration, challenge, and perseverance. I am pleased we are at this position tonight for the Soul Park pickleball and paddleball court development. This is a good example of how city and county can work together. I am aware of the site plans. Once constructed, the new courts will offer good opportunity for spacious play in a beautiful environmental setting. The open space will help mitigate the sound noise generated by pickleball play. I fully support awarding the construction contract to Pacific Tennis Courts of Moore Park. It's nice to be able to do it within the county. I support keeping the present courts open until Soul Park is open. That's only fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Any comments online, Mr. City Clerk?
Mayor, we have one more in-house,
Oh,
Klaus
okay.
Peter Fleischman.
Okay, Klaus Peter Fleischman. Klaus Peter, you're up.
Well, because I haven't seen the site plan, can you bring that slide up?
James, would you be able to bring that plan back up?
I mean, I think it's wonderful that this is happening, so I'm very, very grateful. And the notion seems to be at least being considered to keep the courts open until this is done. This is common sense, right? I hope. When I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this, I have played paddleball, I played pickleball, and I play tennis equally, and I know all the players in there. My recommendation would be to consider at least, because I don't understand that court, the multi-purpose, how this came about, because I don't know anybody who does multi-purpose. I'm just making a comment. I would do 2 paddle boards on the top and make the other 6 pickleballs. So the pickleballers would be next to each other without any, they would be in the same row. And 2 paddleboard. Paddleboard is not growing, by the way. There's no growth pattern. Pickleball is exponentially growing. So they would take that into account. It's just a comment on I mean, it's great to have it, but I think they could be improved by switching those 2 things around. Does that make sense, what I said? Okay.
Thank you, Klaus Peter.
So the court is striped for paddle tennis or pickleball, meaning that if there's a need for 6 pickleball courts, the 6th pickleball court is there. So it can be used by paddle tennis or pickleball players. It's dual striped. It's out there right now. If you go to Soul Park right now.
It's confusing actually for people who play.
It is. It is.
Mr. City Manager, do you want to
Sure,
jump in?
and I just want to jump in here. I think also, Ms. Palmer, and you'll refresh my memory. In our discussions with the county, I think that was one of the interests the county had, was making sure that there was the multi-sport court, and having some court diversity, if you will, was I think what they were interested in. They didn't want it to be solely pickleball, and if we were proposing that, they were not interested in moving forward because they wanted to have some flexibility there.
And surprisingly, there is a group of paddle tennis players in the valley. There's not as many as pickleball, but there are players who want to play out there. And if you go and look at the courts, there's a little tag on the chain link fence that says 2 of those courts, actually, and the dual striped. The paddle tennis players get priority because they partnered with the county in terms of paving and not paving, but coating and striping. So there's a significant amount of people who play.
Okay.
And
we're gonna move on in public comment. Thank you, Ms. Palmer. We have one more online.
No raised hands online for item number 5, Mayor.
Okay, let's move on to discussion. Who would like to begin?
I'm aware of what we're being asked to approve, and perhaps we're supposed to just limit to that. But
Yes, but
sounds
like you have a question.
Maybe there should be some kind of, maybe you already have it, a Q&A about Soul Park, because the issue of the fees is always coming up, to enter the entrance fees. Okay.
Mayor, would you be Because we've gone through this several times. Ms. Palmer, I think you have the fee issue pretty nailed down. You want to tell us about your research?
I do, and the plan is to put a link on the city's website as well, and we could also put FAQs. But the cost to get into the park, you can buy an annual pass for $30 if you are under 60. And it's $60 if you're, or the other way around. Sorry, if you're under 60, it's 30. If you're under 60, it's 60. If you're over 60, it's 30. So, and we had some prior discussions about possibly subsidizing that for folks who can't do that, or that's a hardship to them. So. But we would put a link, and you can just go click on the city's website, and it'll send you to the counties, and you can purchase your annual pass.
Yeah, I think it's just good to repeat it.
Totally.
Yeah, thank you
Yes,
very
I agree.
much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, are you finished,
Yeah,
Councilmember?
for
Okay,
now, yes,
Okay,
yes.
other comments?
Yeah.
Through the mayor, I will just point out that, and this I wouldn't want this to be my turn, but it could be that a second pass for another member of the family or for your car is $10. So in other words, you can get 2 for $10 more. So that's just also something to know.
Yeah.
So
thank
a
you for
senior
that.
couple is $1 and change a month gets you an annual pass.
Yes. Yes.
Something like that. And
That's good.
you can apply.
Yeah. Right.
Help.
Councilmember Lang?
Well, yes, thank you. I'm so amazed that you all charged forward with this directive, and that you were able to work out negotiate an agreement with the county, that you were able to get these bids solidified, work with an engineer to create the plans. I think it's a miracle that you've been able to do this. And, I think I just want to have this on, I think like I said, the price was a sticker shock to me, and thinking about what else we could do with those funds, it's a trade-off. It really is. We've talked about having community pool. We've talked about a lot of other things are not going to be done because of this. And I think that really speaks to the need for more pickleball courts. I think that speaks to the democratic process, the fact that we've had a very vocal group saying we want to play, which is great, and all of the benefits of pickleball. And I think this is going to really open up Soul Park as a destination. I think that hopefully the county will realize that this is a thriving place for people to recreate, and that more will go into this. So I just want to thank you for all your work.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I also was a little bit surprised at the costs, but I understand that we're going with a very high-end project in the way that we're going to do this. I did have some understanding that we were being encouraged by a group that said it had money ready to help us do this project, and I hope we're still exploring that. So that would be my only comment, is I hope that we continue to explore it. And then I guess my other comment is I did spend a lot of time thinking about whether we should extend the deadline to begin so that the pickleball at City Hall would close concurrently with pickleball at Soul Park opening. And that was not an easy decision to make, but I support the idea that we keep the courts at City Hall open, despite the fact that we've been promising those neighbors who are impacted by it that we would get them closed.
Thank you. Well, I would echo, it is a pickleball miracle. So thank you. And so thank you very much, Lindy.
You're
In
welcome.
4 months, you pulled it off. So.
I wanted to add a couple of sort of, some feedback too. A couple of the factors that may have come into play with the cost is the time frame that we have required a contractor to get this work done in very short order. If we would have said, you've got all summer to get it, we probably, and I know this because the contractors asked us this question. And so that's one of the factors that elevated the cost. The second one was when we decided to pour additional concrete to maximize the number of courts we could get. We were only coming up with 6 without pouring those 2 pieces of concrete, and it's expensive right now.
Thank you. And I would also like to echo Mr. Miley's comments, and I'd like to really thank Matt Levere and the county for working together so well. And this is a great example of county and city coming together and filling a need. So, and thank you, Mr. City Manager, Mr. City Attorney, for working on it. And also to the flexible pickleball players who are ready to go try out Pickleball Paradise in Soul Park. So we're all excited. And just a little note, I think it's important to understand the history. And Councilmember Francina, we go back a long time, you farther than I on this issue. Yeah. And that the former mayor generously suggested that that pickleball courts are tried here on the unused courts here. And, at that time, several years ago, there was no idea that there was any kind of compatibility issue from the noise of the rackets and people's excitement. And we don't want players to be quiet. We want people to be excited and make noise and be happy. So I think Soul Park is the great place for that to happen, and where we can encourage the sport. And also this particular campus for decades has been a site for passive recreation, not active. So I think there are a lot of people in the community who are excited about that return. And I just think in terms of moving forward, no one could have predicted this. There have been issues all over the country about pickleball. It's really important for the city to just look at incompatibility issues because this is not about being for or against pickleball. It's about finding the right place for the right activity. And I think I want to echo that concern about shade. I think that would be really wonderful. I've heard concerns about that. And also committing to planting native oaks and sycamores out there to produce more shade eventually. Let's look into some fundraising, and we'll take donations tonight. So thank you.
And to the mayor, if I could, I just want to point out that from the start about the cost. I had sticker shock too, but everybody who's looked at a budget of 200,000 has said that is absolutely unrealistic. And reasons came out, and as I was looking at the contract, one of the reasons I see is that we pay existing wage. We're required to pay existing wage, and that can only be a good thing. We're required to provide insurance for workers, and that can only be a good thing. But yeah, it does cost. So I think that scrimpy 175,000 scrimped on, some fair employment practices that I was never comfortable with, and am much more comfortable in providing fair wages and protection to those who will be building and contracting with this. And I thank you for that. And I thank you guys both. I mean, it truly is amazing. And I know from talking to you immediately that this was a high priority and you were hell-bent on making it happen. And so kudos to both of you. And thank you so much.
Yeah. And also just to speak to that, and the city also checks and makes sure that our contractor is paying prevailing wage. We look at certified payroll, and we make sure that's happening. Right. So
it's very important that we do that. I mean, that's how we end up with low-income wage earners, is because we don't pay a fair and prevailing wage.
Okay, are we ready to put a motion on the table? Someone? Councilmember Lang, thank you.
Sure. I will move to direct staff to move forward with the proposed pickleball courts and to delay the close of the city courts until these courts are usable, playable.
Second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, many seconds.
Mhm.
Okay.
Leslie seconded.
Okay,
I
all
did,
right.
but, you know, whatever.
All right, let's have a roll call, please.
Yes, Mayor. Motion clearly understood. We'll have roll call. Mayor Sticks.
Yes.
Councilmember Rule.
Yes.
Councilmember Francina.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Whitman.
Yes.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Wonderful. And thank you again, staff. Appreciate it. Exciting. Yeah.
Great outcome.
All right, we will move on to item number 6. Yeah, thank you, Lucas.
We have a perfect record, right, so far?
Yeah.
Item number 6 is a concept consideration, the Artisan Market Community Stakeholder and Input Meeting. And we have a staff report from our Community Development Director. Thank you, Ms.
Hi,
Palmer.
thank you, Lindy.
Good evening. My name is Lucas Seibert, Community Development Director here for the City of Ojai. As the Mayor had just mentioned, I'm going to be to the point. What we're looking for here tonight is a nod from Council to really hold a community stakeholder input meeting, and that's really for the artisan community out there, as well as allowing an opportunity for those brick and mortar businesses out there as well to kind of have an opportunity to talk through some of the struggles and concerns that they've had with various aspects. The reason why this has come up recently is because we've had a number of market vendor operators that have popped up, and we have a process for it. However, that process in itself has created some confusion and frustration with these vendors. And we've aired that out. In fact, we just recently had an appeal that went to Planning Commission, and then Planning Commission upheld Director's decision to deny a temporary use permit based on the fact that they didn't meet all the criteria. Simple as that. Now, what's interesting about that particular piece, as an example, just to give some history, is we had actually given them a 6-month permit to operate as a temporary use permit under a different provision, which I had identified there were no conflicts with that land use in its surroundings. But after the operation of that business and vendor took place, we immediately started having concerns raised by the brick and mortars that existed, and from outside sources in regards to parking and access. So it began in kind of an unraveling of what are really the issues that are at hand here. And on top of that, with them applying and going through the process, we found ourselves with 3 more that were at the table wanting to have the same discussion. So it became a bigger issue than what was originally anticipated. You know, a workshop would be a good way in which to air some of those out, and that's really what we're talking about here tonight. So with that, I'll
Thank you.
open up for questions.
Any questions from council? Nope. All right, we will, thank you very much. Well, if you can fill out a card, that would be great. We have Larry Steingold with a public comment.
I feel like I live up here. I was at the planning meeting, and that particular case was essentially denied because they were not a nonprofit, and the ordinance called for, if they wanted to be there and have outside, they had to be a nonprofit, correct? And therefore, the ordinance had to be upheld, and they were denied, right? They could come back and they could try to change the law, bring us forward here and say, okay, craft something that allows us to do what we want to do within the code, then it gets approved, because they can certainly work inside but not outside, which is another problem, because what's happening, or what you will see, is more pop-up markets. Once we get all this resolved, more pop-up markets, more outside venues, because at the Rancho, at Capri, at all these places are going to have outside markets, outside people, and more traffic and more people, which is great for sales tax if we collect it. And traffic, if we need to solve the traffic problem, we need to solve the parking problem in order to allow these markets to compete. And then they're competing against the brick and mortar people who are paying rent, paying property taxes, and these people are not. So how do we rectify that? They're local artisans, fine. If they're outside artisans, not so fine. But there's got to be a way to thread the needle here to make everybody, not everybody, but most people satisfied. But they had to deny it. So if it's a nonprofit, they have 4 or 5 meetings a year, whatever the case may be. Private property, parking, land, what have you. So this will get worked out. It's just going to take time, and some of these people may not like it, but that's just the way it is because of the ordinances and our own parking issues.
Thank you, Larry. Rachel, you have a comment?
Oh, yeah. It's the second card. I guess you don't need it. It's not a comment, it's a question, actually. Okay. Thank you for calling me in turn. It's not about what he was just mentioning. It's more of what was being mentioned earlier, having to do with the nonprofit, and I think it had pertained mostly to what this gentleman had brought up. If you're going to allow for a budget bracket for these resources that are being put into place, you're going to need to have the resources. So my question is, where is this money coming from? It's not necessarily coming from the Federal Reserve, you know. So that's my question.
Okay, thank you.
Do we understand the question?
Okay. You can pass.
The existing budget is sufficient to accommodate the cost of preparing a workshop. So it's within the existing city budget if the council directs a workshop. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any comments online, Weston?
No raised hands for item 6, Mayor.
Okay.
It looks like we have one more in-house from Bill Miley.
Mr. Miley, you have a comment on this item?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Hello. I too was at the Planning Commission and participated in the discussion. And the problem was being not nonprofit. So the issue of pop-up vendors, it seems to me that we do need an opportunity for a more smart understanding of how pop-up vendors fit into our city commerce. My personal opinion is I wouldn't support profit vendors for pop-up. Nonprofit seems to be reasonable. But the issue of how they compete, no. Jamie Fleming spoke also at the Planning Commission, and he said, do you know Saturday is the best day to sell? Some vendors who have brick and mortar wait until Saturday to make enough for the week or the month. I didn't know that. And so what happens? The pop-up vendors come on Saturday and they compete, and I believe that's a fairness issue. In my opinion, they compete unfairly. So we need to look at that. I definitely support the proposal to have a community meeting or several community meetings. It's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Any comments online? Nope. All right, we'll move on to discussion. Councilmember Francini.
So I watched the Planning Commission online. I fell asleep, and then I had to go back, and that's why I wasn't there. I was so tired. But it was really good education, because off the top of my head, everybody loves outdoor festive events. You know, we all love it. It adds to the vibrancy of the community, and if it's just local, especially if it's just local, and they're paying something to the city for the privilege of using, you know, our you know, all of that. But I did change my thinking, absolutely, and I support that they did uphold the staff findings to deny. I was surprised. But, so I recommend anyone, it's the May 1st meeting, it's online, it's well worth watching if you want to know the thought that went into this. So, whenever, I think we should have that workshop. It's very good to have, to discuss it.
So I've spoken, I've been contacted by a few of the local artisans, and I think, I would make a motion that we do have this community meeting. I think there is a place for all of our artisans, and I think as we feel we're moving towards a more fine art, I get this sense we're moving towards a more fine arts approach. What happens to the arts and crafts and artisans who are textile artists and can't get into shops? And so I think that there's a place for all of this, and the way to work through it is a conversation. It's bringing in the Arts Commission, it's bringing in the Chamber, it's bringing in, the local artists who have been here for 30, 40 years who can't find space in stores, but who provide this flavor. When we talk about the flavor of Ojai, for me, a lot of the flavor of Ojai is the grassroots artists that also need to have a place here. And I am a firm believer that we can figure this out. I think that there is a way forward, and it was Lucas's suggestion, I think, that we do it this way. And I support it 100%. So I'm going to make a motion that we move forward with this community meeting, and we allow all voices, and we figure out a way forward. I think we can do that.
Okay, a second? I'll second. Is that okay, unless you want to? Okay.
Councilmember Lang, did you want to comment?
Yeah, I just think I think that makes the most sense, because this is one of those complex questions. Being, an artist with a family of artists, knowing that the markets for selling art are narrowing. We had a really interesting meeting with the Arts Commission, and that's one thing that I kept hearing. And at the same time, I want to make sure that we are supporting the arts in the way that's the best for the whole community. So I'm all for a community meeting, a workshop.
Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I'm in favor of the community workshop, and I find that Lucas generally gets things right.
Yes. And I would like to echo my council members' comments. I'm in agreement, and thank you to our community development director for working on this. And I think you're right, a workshop is necessary to find that balance between the arts and businesses. And so thank you for doing that. Councilmember, did you want to say something?
I was just thinking, I heard someone said that the local shops don't carry the products of local artists, or they alluded that there was difficulty getting into local brick and mortar shops. Do you remember that? So I would like to do a little fact finding on that, because why would that be? I didn't understand that, if it's true or not. I don't know if it's true. It was alluded to.
We'll look into that.
Yeah, that should be part of that discussion.
Roll call?
Yes, Mayor. We have a clear motion by Councilmember Rule with a second by Councilmember Francina. Let's have a roll call. Councilmember Francina.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Whitman.
Yes.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Mayor Sticks.
Yes.
Councilmember Rule.
Yes.
Another 5-0.
Wonderful. Okay.
Go down to history.
Okay, let's move on to item number 7, the closed session, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation.
And Mayor, I would suggest, with the council's permission, you take councilmember reports, city manager's report, featured agenda items, and then, so that the public, because we're not expecting reportable action from the closed session, so take those last public items and then adjourn to closed session.
Good idea.
Wait a minute.
Any council member reports?
Is this, I don't think that's in my packet.
There is no, there's no, the packet is just the public packet. There's no public staff report for item 7, but the agenda at the front
of course not, yeah.
will list items 7.
Okay, somehow that passed me by.
Any council member reports?
Closed session, there it is.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
I just wanted to report out that that the members of the Arts Commission and our city manager, we met with members of the county, and we had a really great event that to talk about the ways that we can connect different artists and arts organizations in the community, and it was really wonderful. And the Arts Commission is doing a stellar job of being focused on carrying out their plan, and also finding new ways to move forward in a way that is really healthy and wonderful for our community. So I want to thank Smitty and Christine Steiner and all of the members of the Arts Commission.
I would just echo that. Thank you to Karina and David and Pamela. It was a really wonderful event, and a lot of great cross-pollination with the county. So we're looking forward to working together. Great tennis tournament this year, so thank you to the tennis tournament for being so successful. One more time. Any other?
I'll save mine.
Okay. All right. Any city manager report?
No report.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead. Future agenda items? Anybody?
I think we have enough.
I think we're good.
Yeah, poor staff. So with that, Madam Mayor, I can do the intro to closed session. We are going to meet in closed session and consider one item of anticipated litigation related to a transactional occurrence known to the plaintiff or plaintiffs regarding a request for defense and indemnity by Councilmember Leslie Rule in the case of Byrne versus Rule, Ventura County Superior Court case number 2323 CUMC 008352, Second District Court of Appeal case number B332962. As noted, no reportable action is expected. Thank you.
Okay, and just a question. This has been raised many times by members of the public. In terms of recusal, it's not necessary for a council member rule to recuse in this case?
Staff's recommendation is that as the claimant, Councilmember Rule should recuse from the matter, but we always defer to the majority of the council.
Okay.
May I ask? Yep. Are we going to? Was there more?
I'm just looking for clarity. The question has come up many, many times.
Okay. So, so we're in agreement that if Councilmember Rule wants to be present, that we're fine with it? I am.
If I could just jump in right now, I would just suggest that we save the conversation. You can decide that in closed session.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation.
All right, we will adjourn to closed session. Thank you.